So the only thing that we can control is ourself, our perspective, how we're going to tackle the situation moving forward. What way are we going to show up in our life? And I think it's really what's missing is that we're not establishing that resilience factor because we're too scared of what happens if more bad things happen?
Hi, and welcome to Don't Drink to Feed podcast. This podcast is all about you and all the courageous, driven women like you. We are here to inspire, to empower, to share, and to embrace one another. We will be talking with women from different backgrounds and careers about love, family, friendship, their wins and falls, and what it took for them to live the life they love. I am your host, Claudia Noriega-Bernstein, and I am so happy you're here today. Hi guys, today I have a very juicy episode because we usually talk about our emotions, our journeys, but today we're going to talk about money. Money. So today I have Jax C. She is a finance expert, mortgage broker, law graduate, managing partner of the PBG Mortgage and Financial Mastery Simplified. And in a unique way, she helps individuals reclaim their financial power by uncovering the emotional and mindset patterns that block success. And that is so on brand for me in so many ways, because every time I have a client that feels stuck in their abundance, usually comes from money, but they don't want to recognize that. They want to say, my husband doesn't understand, my kids don't want to listen to me, my friends judge me, blah, 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 blah. But it comes down to what blocks do you have with money? What relationship do you have with that? So I'm so excited for you to be here, Jax. So welcome.
Thank you for having me. Money is so important, and it's funny. I am an expert in surrounding money. I've worked in, and you don't even know this, I've worked in mortgage for over 20 years, but I did property and casualty insurance. I sold different kinds of life insurance products. I have a law degree. So I have a lot of background, formalized background and stuff. But it's so interesting. People just don't understand the correlation between emotional aspect and money, right? They either want it to be dollars and cents or over here, on the soft side. And they really are so intertwined. It's actually why I started doing my podcast, Financial Mastery Simplified, is I wanted people to understand that there's no right or wrongs with money. It's more about understanding, getting perspective, understanding the basics of how it works and how it operates. How can we sort of manipulate it? Because money is very malleable in that respect. And why are we putting so much self-worth, pieces around it, right? Why are we letting society, I guess, dictate some of that? And women specifically, I see a lot of struggle there. They really don't want to talk about it. It's kind of taboo. We don't want to talk about it. And I'm but it's super important. We should be having these conversations, because if we're not, what are we doing, right? We want to feel successful in every aspect of our life, money as well. Well, if we're not going to deal with the intersect of the emotional aspects and money, you're never going to feel the type of true success, fulfillment, mastery that you're looking for. You're just not.
Yeah. And it has a lot to do with our enoughness. Believe it or not, accepting it or not, when we don't feel we're self-sufficient, when we don't feel we are capable to take care of ourselves, we don't feel we are worthy of whatever it is that we want. So we immediately put that label on ourselves, I'm not good enough. And because I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy of receiving A, B, C, or D that I want. And I probably gonna get that when I feel whatever feelings I need to feel. And we don't really take a step back and say, wait a minute, what is my relationship with money? Money is not a dirty word. For me, for example, money is a tool. That's all
Absolutely.
it is. And it's a tool to make my life easier. If my cell phone breaks, I don't have to think, oh my God, I have to finish paying this old cell phone and now I have to get another one and how much I'm going to spend. No, I'm okay, I have the money, I'll buy a new one. End of the story. Don't think about it anymore. If we start seeing money as a tool, I think our whole narrative about money changes.
Oh, yeah. Well, also, and I talk about this a lot, remember that money is fake. It's made up, right? We created a construct. Thousands of years ago, it didn't even exist, right? There was bartering and stuff like that. And so if you think about it on its face, just if you step back and you think about the fact that you allow something that is technically fake, that we give value to control so much of how you feel about yourself, how much you think about yourself, etc. It's kind of hilarious, right? We can kind of laugh at ourselves a little bit on that. We established this big construct in our heads and our hearts around money when it's just this fake made up thing. And like you said, it's just a tool. I mean, I talk about a lot all the time because there's a lot of people who put negative connotations surrounding debt. And what I do for a living basically is put people in debt, like on the mortgage side. We help them secure this big, huge loan, probably the largest debt they'll ever hold. And so I talk to people all the time is it's just a tool, right? To be able to get you to where you're going, to the goals that you're looking to accomplish. You can't think of it as, oh, this is like this big negative thing and I put myself in debt and oh my gosh, etc. It's all about just understanding your alignment. Like, why are you doing this, right?
Mm.
Asking yourselves hard questions. And I think that's actually why people don't like dealing with money is in order to really feel like they have mastered it, in order to feel successful with it, you have to ask yourself some really deep, hard questions that go all the way back to like when we were children, because we create most of our money story around 8 years old. By 10, it's pretty much done. So whatever was happening to you in this phase of your life, this stuff, and we don't like digging that deep. That's uncomfortable and I'd rather talk about nice things or whatever else. And we're not going all the way back and like pulling some of these things out. And it's just so necessary to recognize that it exists. Like you and I were talking before, you and I had
Mm-hmm.
similar backgrounds in the
Mm-hmm.
fact that we both grew up not lacking. Like we didn't have families where they were struggling to pay the bills every single month, or we didn't have food. Those are a lot of you may have had situations or circumstances like that. Fortunately for you and I, that was not the case.
Mm-hmm.
However, we still grew up a little bit different. You kind of had a little more of an abundance mindset. My mom had very much of a scarcity mindset, and she sort of projected that onto me and my brother. And so for a long time, even though I understood money, it was never really an issue, like knowing that we had it, that wiring would like come up, right? I mean, I even remember accidentally telling my nephew, Luca, money doesn't grow on trees. And it's like, but that's not true. Money is in full supply. It flows all the time. So that's a ridiculous construct. But we put a lot of that on ourselves because of the way that we were raised, because of what was happening in our lives in these periods.
And I love that you mentioning that because I am so high in conditioning and what the conditioning shape and how it shape our life. And we were talking earlier, yes, about the money wound and the money blocks. And a
Hmm.
lot of people are familiar with the money blocks, but they don't understand the money wound and where they come from. Who is the author of those stories and how can we change those stories? First, going back, obviously, and remember, when was the first time that you were aware of the value of money and
Hmm.
what stories you heard when you were little about money, like money doesn't grow on trees, or money is dirty, or if you are rich you're going to be an asshole, or if you are, if you are successful, people are not going to like you anymore.
Yep.
So you get to a point where you got to decide, am I going to ask for more, or am I going to stay where I am because I'm safe here and people still going to like me, but I want more and I deserve more? Am I dirty? Am I bad because I want that? So can you explain a little bit the difference between a money wound and a money block?
Yeah, sure. So, money wounds, like we said, if you go all the way back to your childhood, and this is really interesting. So, I definitely don't have any kind of a medical background, but a really good friend of mine who is a coach, and she not only is a coach, but she has a heavy background on the medical side. Okay. So, she does a lot of like resetting with people when it comes to kind of some of the things that are trauma, like in your body. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that show up. And one of the things she said when she and I were having this conversation, I never really thought about this. The trauma is passed down from generation to generation. But what most people don't think about, most people don't even realize is think about this for a minute. So when a woman is pregnant, okay, with let's say a daughter, every egg that the woman, the daughter will ever produce is already inside of her. And so whatever is actually happening to the mom at that time is actually getting passed biologically, like into the DNA, not only of the baby she's carrying, but also into the eggs of her.
Mm-hmm.
So your grandmother is literally like programming some of this DNA,
It's
this wiring.
brainwashing you 10
Hmm.
generations before.
Exactly. And then we have the circumstances, like what's happening around us. So, like my grandmother, my Oma, she actually lived in Germany during the Great Depression. I mean, she knew what it was like to basically not eat. I mean, she told us a story one time about how the man that she ended up marrying, her first husband, the reason she married him is that they were starving and they went and they were going to steal potatoes from a farmer because they were that hungry, and the farmer shot at them, and he found her in the alleyway, and she was bawling because she had just gotten shot at for simply trying to figure out how to eat. And he brought her this giant bag of potatoes. And so when you have these kind of traumatic experiences, they create sort of like wounds within you of things that have happened to you. And some of them come from your parents, and some of them come from your own understanding of money. Maybe something negatively happened with you. And a block is a little bit different than that. A block is more like it could be caused by a money wound, or it could just be your own thought processes. Like, you've told yourself, well, this is all I'm capable of making, so block. It's not necessarily have anything to do with a wound. It usually might come from that, let's be real, but a lot of times the money wound is a lot deeper than that. It is a combination of what's wired into your DNA, as well as whatever trauma or information you had surrounding money when it comes to your upbringing and what you've experienced, because each and every person has a different experience. They have different perspectives. And that's why I am sort of the anti-money rules, if you will, because my way of handling money isn't your way, and your way is not my way, and that's okay. But we haven't been taught to trust ourselves at all with money, which in my opinion is very, very sad. And a lot of times, why is that? Well, our parents have the same kind of trauma and blocks and money wounds, and nobody has been talking about any of that because why would we want to talk about that?
It's dirty. Exactly. But also the relationship a man and a woman has with money is different. You know?
100%.
Yes, in a lot of ways, men and women are different. But when it comes to money, it's crazy. I have a client that sent me a message today in the morning. She's in a trip with her husband, and she said, I told him I wanted to go to the mall, and he told me no. We are in 2025. How is that happening right now?
Mhm.
How is that possible to you? What that makes you feel? What part of you is being triggered, and why you're not using your voice? It's not that the guy bought you, God forbid, there are situations like that, but he is your partner. And you say in a trip with him, I want to go to the mall, and this man is answering to you, I don't, and this is my trip. What? But this is how we accept this conditioning too. And we don't fight it, because also it comes with the shame. How am I going to feel if I do this or that? And maybe I'm not deserving of it, so I'm going to be quiet. What is the biggest difference that you see between men and women when it comes to money?
So it's interesting that you bring this up because there is significant differences. And especially I will tell you, if you're living in a patriarchal society, which I would say that most of probably your listeners and even mine, like they're living in a patriarchal society. But women outsource their power with money a lot. A lot of that does have to do with conditioning. The man is the head of the household. He should be handling the money or whatever. And so women somehow get this idea that we're bad with it, or we don't deserve to handle it, or whatever the case may be. It's utter BS. It is not true at all. I also see that women have a lot of shame surrounding it. Like if they get a hold of it, then they're going to do something wrong, which again, I want to tell them, hey, just so we're clear, we pull credit on men and women all the time, and men make just as many mistakes as women. And it's very interesting to me that women don't necessarily take some of the risks that a man would take, because a man's like, oh, well, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. And a woman will take it doesn't work out, and they will internalize it, and they will create this shame narrative within them that creates, again, that money wound that starts going, probably it's connected to something that's already going on inside, and it just will decimate them. For instance, I'll give you a perfect example of something that, and this is not just for women, men have this problem too occasionally, bankruptcy. So people vilify bankruptcy. This is a horrible, horrible thing. Declaring bankruptcy is like just the worst, or bad credit. That's another one. Here's the thing. So first of all, bankruptcy is a legal proceeding. It is simply an opportunity to be able to take a situation that got really bad for whatever the reason may be, and you legally are able to take this debt that you hold and either readjust it, rework it, or get rid of it, depending on what the scenario is. It exists for a reason. There is no shame or vilification in this process. We wouldn't legally have it. Like, we're not doing what we used to do centuries ago, debtor's prison, where they just like literally legitimately threw you in jail. Like, that's not the thing. But we have vilified it. We've made it this big, horrible thing. Same thing with credit. So I'm going to tell you a very personal story that has happened to me, and is kind of still, I guess, ongoing in its odd way. My husband and I owned a really big, expensive house. We took that risk. We took it very knowingly. And we decided when our income started declining just because of the market that we were going to go ahead and sell the house. Great. Goes under contract. And we don't know if it was the buyer, the buyer's agent, or the inspector. Somebody leaves a half bath water running, runs for 3.5 days, does over $500,000 of damage to this house. And now we were teetering kind of on that house of cards of like making all the robbing Peter to pay Paul, all the things. And now our financial house starts sort of falling. Two choices here. I can drown in the shame, right? Like, oh my gosh, I'm supposed to be the money expert over here, and here I am, like floundering in my own stuff. My credit's going to hell. Well, I know that, first of all, credit's super malleable and it doesn't define my worth. And a lot of the scenarios and the situations that created this challenge, I didn't do them. Like, I can't take these external things that are happening because of other people and place it on myself. And that's what a lot of times people happen is they look at this full huge picture and maybe their percent of the picture is 3 or 4%, maybe it's 10%, and they take 100% of whatever comes about from it.
Right.
Why? Like, that's totally irrational. Like, if you're looking at it from a math perspective, like, that's totally irrational. Yes, you can acknowledge, like, I don't not acknowledge the fact that we took this risk. My husband and I together took this risk. And so, yes, some of this financial challenge is on me, 1,000%. But
Right.
however, it doesn't mean that all the scenario and the situation of like what happened, like I couldn't control that the mortgage market would like shrink massively in this period of time. I couldn't control that my daughter was born 8 weeks, 2 days early, which minimized my income for a period of time. I couldn't control that somebody left a half bath water running. Like, think about all the pieces of this situation scenario I personally could not control. So I have a choice now. I could take it on. I can let it destroy me. I can let it literally decimate me to a point of either getting rid of myself, which is not a good scenario, or just allowing me to not be the person that I am. Or I can say, okay, step back, deep breath. What's going on? What part do I own? I need to own that part. And what part does not belong to me? I reject this. I'm not taking this as financial failure. And we have the choice, but most people don't look at it that way. They would rather just take it all on. Women
Right.
especially.
Right. So if you have somebody right now that is listening to you and is thinking, okay, I am not in that exact position, but I am in that emotion right now, right?
Right.
I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. I feel very overwhelmed. I'm a failure. I'm ashamed. I should just crawl under my bed and hide until this disappear. What would be the first step that you would advise to that person to take right now? This is your situation. This is the first step.
So the first thing is you have to acknowledge the emotion. So that's the other problem is like we try to just stuff it down like it's not happening. Like we're trying to show on social media that we have the perfect life and the perfect family or whatever. Like, don't be afraid to acknowledge it. So many people have come up to me and they're like, I can't believe that you would tell people about this. I'm like, why? Like, I don't understand that. It's just a situation. It doesn't,
Mm-hmm.
it's not right or wrong. It's just a fact. So first of all, just acknowledge it. Understand that like you're experiencing that you're going through this and it's okay to be frustrated, pissed off, upset, all of the emotions. But then we have to step back and say, okay, like what can we do to move forward and what steps can we take? Because I think that so many people, we believe in this illusion of control. And the truth is we don't have any. So the only thing that we can control is ourselves, our perspective, how we're going to tackle the situation moving forward. What way are we going to show up in our life? And I think it's really what's missing is that we're not establishing that resilience factor because we're too scared of like, well, what happens if more bad things happen? Well, I could tell you after that scenario happened, the litany of more bad things has happened in this period. Probably more crazy bad things that have never happened to me in my entire life in this 3, 4 year window than in my entire life.
Wow.
But it just doesn't define me that way. And I'm telling you, I know that's not easy, but if you literally do just say, you know what? I'm going to just wake up and I'm going to take the next step forward. What's the next right step I could take forward and what my alignment is and what my vision is and what my purpose is? That's all you can do is just take that next step forward. Find resources. So if you're financially strapped and that means that you maybe can't hire an amazing coach or something like that. Okay, this is 2025. You have the internet, you have YouTube, you've got podcasts. You have so many resources at your disposal. Find something that works to you. Find something that speaks to you and do it. Whatever that is.
100%. And I was having a conversation about this with somebody else too. It's like you have so many different resources. And sometimes you need to take a break from the social media which is a window to show up in a way that you want people to perceive you, but it's not actually the
Right.
reality. Take a break from that pressure and work on yourself. If you cannot hire a coach, then watch videos, read a book, talk to people that are financially successful, pick
Right.
their brain, learn from it. And even if you had a moment of failure, that's an opportunity to learn from that. What did I do to get myself into this so the next time I don't do it? I think it's so important to recognize also and acknowledge our responsibility on that, because that's the only way we can learn. But you not only coach and help people that are in the hole and try to get out of that hole, but you also have the opportunity to talk to people that has already success in their life. So what do you notice are the more common skills that a financially successful person has?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I will tell you that building the resilience muscle is super, super important. So you're just talking about the failure piece. Almost anybody who has ever been hugely successful in life, financially and or otherwise, it is because when they fail, it does not decimate them, right? But the problem is that we as a society have been trying to snowplow out all of this bad things. But
Mm-hmm.
what most people don't realize is that when bad things happen, it allows you to step in and build the resilience muscle. And this resilience muscle is what allows you to just move forward. Again, they detach themselves from the
Mm-hmm.
outcome. They just are walking forward, the right step, the right step, the right step, and they don't tie their self-worth to the actual outcome of the scenario. So we're not tying ourselves to that. That is something that's so huge. You made the comment about getting in the room with people who have some of these knowledge and things like that. That's another thing. I can promise you, if you feel like you're failing, look at the circle around you. And if that's the attitude that they are all holding, you will hold the same attitude. Because remember, there's a part of your brain called the RAS, a reticular activating system. And this is the thing that we basically tell what we're looking for. So when we tell the RAS, hey, we're looking for money, it's literally looking, or we're looking for opportunity, we're looking for thankfulness, whatever it is, we're telling it to look for, it will find it. It's the images is like the image of the red car. If I say
Mm-hmm.
to you, hey, don't
Mm-hmm.
look for a red car, all your brain's going to be able to see is a red car. That's all they could see is like red car,
Yeah.
red car, red car. Because we now activated the RAS and said red car. And so
Mm-hmm.
the brain's like red car, and it's actively
Mm-hmm.
looking for it. When you're in a circle where it's only negative, it's only, doom and gloom and oh, well, this happened to me and life is, whatever. I hate to break it to you, but most people that are heavily successful still have bad things happen to them. Sometimes really big bad things, sometimes really little bad things. So, like, you're not unique in that. Like, you're not, the only, bad things are not just happening to you. If you're looking for bad things, guess what's going to happen? More
Mm-hmm.
bad things, or you're going to be
You're
so
gonna,
aware.
right, exactly. And I think gratitude is so important.
Oh, yes.
I mean, I had times where after I got divorced, for example, I didn't have money. I really didn't have money. I knew how it was to have it, but I made the conscientious choice of not allowing that to define me. So I made it fun for my kids. And when I talk about that with them, they said, we never felt we were poor. And I'm
Right.
like, because we were not. Because maybe we were out of cash at that moment, but we were not poor. So where is
Right.
your wealth? What are the things that you do have in your life that you can be grateful about and think about those things and attract more of those things? So you create that balance. Yeah, maybe you cannot go to a very expensive restaurant once a week for now. That's okay, but you're still gonna have meals in your home. You still have a roof over your head and have the gratitude for those things and also have the gratitude for the money that is providing those things. So your relationship with the money starts shifting. You start having a better relationship with your money because your money is your partner to achieve all those things that you do have in your life. And I think that mindset, I'm so grateful to have it, but I love it that we're sharing it because a lot of people don't understand how your relationship with your money can change also the outcome of whatever you're experiencing right now.
I don't think that people have a true understanding of how powerful their brain is. So think about this for a minute. Allergies, in essence, for the most part, is a construct of your mind. It is your brain having a foreign substance encountering your body and your body having a reaction. Your
Mm-hmm.
brain saying, this is not good for me, whatever, blah, 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 blah. I mean, your brain, like, there's literally people who have convinced themselves they are pregnant and show actual physical signs of pregnancy. This is how powerful your brain is. And so often we are not taking the opportunity to do simple rewiring things. Like literally, I used to think it was so hoo-hoo. I was like, what? That's ridiculous. Because again, I was raised in an uber logical household, math, science, like very heavy logic based things. But this is scientific. Breathing, resetting your nervous system through deep belly breathing. Like, we think when somebody says take a deep breath, like they're being kind of rude, like, no,
Yeah.
just take a deep breath, like basically get over
They're
it.
undermining what you're going through in that moment. Like, what breath
Exactly, like
is
they're
gonna do?
minimizing.
I'm gonna breathe and
That's
I'm still gonna be broke.
correct, exactly. But what's actually happening is your nervous system is calming down. Like when all this stuff starts bubbling up, all this trauma, this money wounds, all this junk is like coming up to the surface on you. You sometimes literally have to start rewiring your brain. That's why you do things like the deep meditative breathing, that deep belly breath, and letting out the audible noise of the breath when it comes out. That's why you do things like thankfulness and gratitude, like actually literally and writing it down. There's something mentally that happens when you physically are writing things down. So it's important verbally, it can help as well. But if you literally will commit to actually physically writing the things down, I'm thankful for. And if you can't think of something like just on its face at first, because at first it's hard when you're
Right.
going through it. You're like, I don't want to be thankful for anything. I'm pissed off and upset right now. No, thank
Mm-hmm.
you. I don't want to be thankful. Well, what about the fact that you're still breathing? The fact that you
You
woke
can
up this
see
morning.
the fact
Right.
that you can see, the fact that you have people that loves you, the fact that you have a job, even if you don't like your job, you have a
Exactly.
job. Do you know how many people out there don't
Exactly.
have it? And I don't want to go back to that conditioning of you gotta eat your food because there is kids that don't have food. That's a
Yeah.
whole different thing. But acknowledging what you do have and also paying forward. For me, this is something that I've been doing for years. I need to do something good every day for somebody else because that gives evidence to myself that I am a good person and I need to have that evidence every single day. So you don't have the money to send somebody or to buy something for somebody, or you don't have the possibility to give them your time, you can forward this podcast to somebody that is
Right.
struggling with money. It's as simple as that. You can do little things for somebody else that is going to give you joy that you are sharing something that you're paying forward. And that helps you with your state of mind. Every single day, you do something little for somebody else. You send a text message, have a wonderful day. Yay, I did something good. As little as that will change it. There is something I wanted to talk to you about that I think is funny, but I think is important. The color, how color affects our relationship with money.
Interesting. How do you mean?
Because you talk about the purple, for example. How
Mhm.
is purple connected with money?
So I will tell you that we have created some ideas between colors and money. Like for instance, and purple obviously has usually been a sign of royalty. And for
Mm-hmm.
those of you who are not aware, the reason that purple signified royalty back a long, long, long time ago is in order to make the color, it was very difficult. And
Mm-hmm.
so if you had a garment or something that had purple dye that had been dyed purple, then it usually had significant wealth. Like they had to basically go through a lot process, like a lot of money had to change hands to be able to make that. And
Mm-hmm.
so, yes, purple definitely can be one of those things when it comes to money. Obviously, for Americans, anyways, green is very heavily associated and affiliated with money because that is the color of our money. And if you go other places in the world, it's interesting because they don't necessarily always affiliate money with being green because they have so many other colors on their money. Like they've
Right.
got lots of bills, lots of other colors and things like that. So it's just interesting to see. We make a lot of correlations in general. And this is
Mm-hmm.
why, like I say to people all the time, you should always be learning, you should always be gaining perspective. And you have a deep knowing within yourself about how things land and whether it's for you or not. And that's the other thing I will tell people right now is if it lands for you, take it, hold it in, and find that truth and run it through. And if it doesn't land for you and you're like, if that's not for me right now or whatever, it's okay to release it. Like, as a society, I think we've been trained that there's so many rules that we have to follow, be it this color has monetary worth or whatever the case may be. That's not necessarily true, right? Like, you. You have the choice, the ability to decide what's for you and what's not for you. And I will say that I'm proud that this next generation seems to be a little bit more in tune with that of themselves versus the ones that have come before them, where it was like these were the rules and we had to follow the rules, and that was that.
Yeah, for sure. And you talk a lot about, and I want to talk about this, your book, Mortgage 101, because I think that is something that a lot of people has in their mind as far as by this age, I'm going to buy a house. By this age, I'm going to have so much money in my bank account. By this age, I'm going to buy my first car or whatever. But there is a time, and I think you talk about this in your book, there is a time to make that expense, correct?
Yeah, so the reason I wrote Mortgage 101, The Secret Sauce to Home Buying in general, was because there's a lot of confusion when it comes around how this giant financial transaction works. And so I wanted to break it down. And then I also wanted to have some practicality to it. Like, what kind of questions should you be asking yourself? Should you be asking the professionals? Because what I found is, and I'm very unusual in my space, if you come to me and you say, hey, I really want to buy a house, we're going to take you through the process of like not only understanding where you're at currently, but also what are you looking for? Like, what kind of goals do you have? And there's more times than not where we tell somebody, hey, I don't really think you're actually really there yet. Or I think you need to be able to answer these questions before this is the process that you go through. And why does my space usually not do that? Well, because we don't get paid if you don't close on a loan. And so they have a financial incentive to kind of force you down a path. But the truth is that people reach this phase at different junctures. Actually, I was talking to a lady last night, and I actually did not help her buy her house. We met after the fact, but she was like, I don't necessarily know if I should have bought the house. And after she and I talked for a little while, I said, I'm going to be real with you. Had you and I had a conversation before you bought, I probably would have told you to hold off. Because in her mind, she had reached a certain age, like you said, we have this idea in her head. And so she bought the house because she's a professional woman. She makes plenty of money and that's what she's supposed to do. Well, it just doesn't fit with her life. And I think a lot of people don't understand that alignment has to be the key to all things financial. Because the truth is, you can be, and I see this a lot, specifically with professional women. We have checked all the boxes off. So we did exactly what they told us to do. We went to school, then we went to college, checked the box off. Maybe we even got a professional degree, checked the box off. We did the full-blown career. We're making really good money, check that box off. On paper, we're doing great. We should have all the financial success. We checked all the boxes, and they still don't feel that way because a lot of times it's out of alignment. They have never sat down and asked themselves, what do you want? Is that what you wanted? Maybe you wanted to live in a van and travel all over the country and go see everything and not own a home or whatever. It doesn't matter. As long as you're not making the decision out of a place of fear or your own money wounds that you can't get over, like, make whatever decision you want and stop outsourcing your power to somebody else. Look, I'm an expert. It doesn't mean that I should be making your decision. I shouldn't be. I should be giving you tools to make the call yourself. That's what should be happening here. Not me telling you, hey, okay, Claudia, so you said all these things, blah, blah. Okay, great. This is exactly what you should do. And here's your financial plan for the rest of your life.
Right. That's what the coaching comes. You lay all the cards and then you let the person make the decision with all the information. Right. This has been incredibly enlightening for me and I'm sure for everybody else. Where can they find your book?
Yes, so it's for sale on Amazon, and I even did a audio version because I know some people don't want to read. You'll actually find the stories. I don't know if you've ever read it, but the stories are perfectly funny because I talk a lot about people who did different things and how that kind of went for them, I guess you'll say.
I love that. And I do have newsletter every week where I talk about the podcast and I feature a book. So I will be featuring your book. If you guys want to learn about it, you can subscribe to my website and my newsletter. The link is in the description of the show. I also going to have the links for Jax. If you want to get in touch with her, if you want to learn more about your finances, if you need help or coaching, she's available. And I am so grateful that you're here and I can't wait to continue this conversation with you.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much for having me, Claudia. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you all for listening to the Don't Shrink to Fit podcast. If you like this episode, please write a juicy comment below and subscribe to my podcast. Remember, we can only fly if we embrace each other. Until next week, be happy, be safe, and be kind to yourself.